Welcome to the In Between podcast. On this week's episode, we are so excited to be talking about setting goals. It's a new year, and sisters Paige, and Leslie Rich are talking about some upcoming things for 2017. We're discussing what it looks like to have a vision and a focus for the entire year, as well as how to break that thing down and start attacking those goals and conquering some things so you'll end this year feeling really accomplished and like you were able to get a lot done. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Here's the In Between.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of the In Between podcast. We are so glad that you are joining us today. It is January 11th, and we are just going to jump on the bandwagon of kind of the New Year's theme of creating goals. I'm not going to say resolution so much, but we're going to talk a little bit today about goal setting, dreaming, and how to actually make those goals work for you. And so I think today is going to be a really fun episode, and we're glad that you're with us.
I think so too. But before we jump into that, we got to do our usuals because everybody likes
Absolutely
into it and over it. But mine are a little bit New Year's goal setting related. So what about you? What are you into right now?
Okay. Well, my into is a little bit New Year's related as well, because one of my things I'm focusing on is eating a little bit better. And for me, I have the hardest time figuring out what to eat for breakfast. I don't know if you're like this, but I'm not the kind of person that can skip breakfast. I call it hangry, where if I get hungry, my emotions are just not great. And so, I have found two things that are helping me with breakfast. First one is smoothies. I'm really into smoothies right now. Mostly my little daughter Haven is like the smoothie queen. And so she used to ask me to make smoothies all the time, and I would just roll my eyes and get annoyed. But I've started looking up different recipes, and if nothing else, I just throw in a bunch of frozen fruit and at least some spinach. So I'm getting some greens, and so I'm loving that. And then the other thing I'm finding that's helpful for breakfast is Shauna Niequist wrote a book called Bread and Wine, and she has one recipe called the breakfast cookie. And so I actually made this on Monday. I've made it one other time. And I can make one batch of these breakfast cookies, and they last me all week. And it's basically rolled oats and coconut and almond flour and bananas, mashed up banana. So it's all good for you stuff, but it's also the thing with smoothies is it doesn't really stick to my bones. I still get hungry, but these breakfast cookies are really filling and can really last me through lunch, but I'm not just eating a lot of processed foods. So I'm loving my breakfast cookies and my smoothies. That's what I'm into. Good. Yeah. What about you?
For me, so I'm going to kind of combine my into and over it. I love a plan. I love a well thought out, organized day. I love a good list. I'm such a list maker. But I have always been I like the paper planner. I know we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, I have just found, and maybe it's just for the season of life that I'm in, but I am just kind of moving everything digital. So I'm super into using my phone, using apps on my phone to organize my life. So a couple of apps that I'm super into.
Okay.
The calendar app I use is called Calendgoo. It syncs with my Google Calendar, but it's different than just the Google Calendar app. It's got a lot
Calendgoo?
Calendgoo, Goo, yeah.
Okay.
So, because I use Google Calendar, Gmail, all that kind of stuff. But Calendgoo, actually my husband got me onto it because I use it for his work. Mm-hmm. But you can move appointments around really easily if you need to. You can set up recurring things. You can share things with people, invite people to events. But it's just a really great app. And I have found that having the reminder on my phone is just everything. And so I used to actually, because I loved the paper planner so much, I would write things in my paper planner and then put them in my phone so I'd have the reminder. But then I would find myself, if I was out making a doctor's, the next orthodontist appointment,
right,
before leaving, I'd put it in my phone and I'd be like, did I write that in my? So it just got, I was like, why am I making this doubly hard? Like,
Yes.
let's focus everything in one spot. So I'm loving Kalangu. And then like I said, I'm a list person.
Mm-hmm.
But lately I have discovered, like, I've got about 14 notebooks sitting around the house, and I'll make a list here, and then I'll make a list here. And so things were getting, like, not checked off the list because I wasn't looking at the right list. So
Right.
I'm committing to using Wunderlist.
Yes.
It's an app. It's free, and you can share it with people. I think it's free. I say that. I know they have a free version. You know, you can upgrade for different things, but we're kind of trying to get our whole family on it. I mean, even my kids have little devices that they use. Mm-hmm. And so, like, when we clean the house, they love a list. But so instead of me rewriting a list every single week of what they need to clean, I can go onto my Wunderlist and just assign that task to a different kid. And then they have their list. They get to check it off. It makes a fun little ding. Yay, I finished something. I accomplished it. But you can categorize it in folders and categories and all that. So I am committing, as much as I do love the paper, I'm kind of over it. I'm ready to just go digital, make my life easier. I always have my phone with me, so just put it all in there.
That's good. I used Wunderlist for about 2 weeks, and I think I just need to commit to it. Me and my assistant at work, we used it, and the 2 weeks we used it was great. So you're making me think maybe that we need to revisit.
I mean, my job used to be a lot of project management, and I love that. I love the organization of it. And so I'm kind of trying to get back to that. But yeah, it is a commitment. It is just saying, this is how we're going to do things. Again, my husband uses it for his business. And so they've just incorporated these systems, you know, like they have an ordering list and a jobs list, all these different things. But it's a great way you can keep everything in one spot, as well as share it with other people and make assignments and deadlines and things like that. So those are my into it and over it. I'm over the paper stuff, into the digital.
Oh, very good.
What about you? What are you over right now?
My over, it does not have anything to do with New Year's resolutions. I think it is the aftermath of Christmas. And I probably should say it in a more refined way, but I'm just going to say I am over little, I call them crap toys. I should probably call it something better, but even just this morning, I picked up like a little bouncy ball and a pencil and a little tiny thing of like some kind of goo or silly putty. And then there was, and probably it's an age thing, I think, because I have a 4-year-old, like she loves all the little stuff, but I'm over it. So I think when she's not looking, I'm just going to start throwing a bunch of it away. And I'm kind of making a resolution to stop buying the little junk stuff. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. My kids love a good Dollar Tree trip. We come home with, I don't know, so I throw that stuff away. They play with it for a little while, and they don't even realize it's gone because it's nothing super special. Right. Yeah.
We're done.
If I have to be honest, probably by the time people are watching this, we're filming this on January 10th, but I don't normally do this. I mean, there's my mantle. Stockings. Oh, hey, what's in that corner? It's a tree. The tree's still up.
Oh, wow. So are you over the Christmas decoration?
Well, we were out of town.
Right.
I wasn't here to take it right down when I had time off, but today it's on the agenda. It's on the Wunderlist. So, yeah.
I think it's time. I'll just say right now to everyone listening, it's time. It's time to take down those Christmas decorations. We still have Christmas lights up on our house. My husband 2 nights ago actually went and finally turned them off. So they don't come on anymore. They're still there.
We just have the porch, but they still come on. It's today.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. So
I feel like that's a good goal.
It's a good goal.
So speaking of goals, that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. And I'm excited about this. I think this time of year, I don't know if you find this to be true, we get a lot of mixed messages about goal setting and creating these resolutions, and not necessarily bad mixed messages, just people do things differently. You hear other people's goals, and a lot of times what it does for me is it starts making me second guess where I am and what I need to be doing, and if I need to kind of add more things to my list. And so we're going to talk later on about a few like specifics and resources and things that we found helpful, but kind of want to start the conversation off by talking about, I've been reading this book, Leslie. It's called Breaking Busy by Allie Worthington, and I'm only halfway through, but the very first chapter is actually what I've liked the best of this book. And she talks about the fact that we all have a capacity. And she says capacity is defined by three things. It's your personality, your experience, and your season of life. And as I was reading it, I just kept thinking, for me, with goal setting especially, I know that the times that my goals have really failed, it's because I wasn't taking into account my capacity for that season, you know? And because there are different people have different personalities. There are some people who can do a lot of stuff, you know? I tend to be one of those people, honestly. But because of that, I have to also remember like the season of life. So I'm actually coming out of a season where I really scaled back the amount of things I tried to do, just because I had little ones at home. And if we don't take those things into consideration, we're going to live basically in a cycle of frustration. You know, like, why can I not do what I think I should be able to do? Well, God didn't ask us to be all things, you know, like, so anyways, it's been really good. She shares signs of capacity overload. I'm just going to say these really quick because maybe somebody listening today, I was just thinking about this show. You've been frustrated with kind of this idea of like, why can I not get my act together? You know, I met with this girl the other day and she made these words, this words came out of her mouth, like, why am I still a mess? You know? Yeah. And once we started talking, we realized she's really not a mess. Yeah. But the bar that she's judging herself to, she's never going to be there, at least not in this season. And that's okay. Like, that is not her capacity, you know? And so anyway, signs that maybe you are overloaded, like, or you've taken more than what your capacity can handle right now. The first one is your inability to control emotions. I thought that was really good. I don't know if you're like me, when you like cry uncontrollably and you don't know why, yeah. That's a sign that you got too much.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that one, Les?
Yeah, it's a pretty good sign. You're maxed out for sure.
Yeah. So the second one is a lack of self-care. Like if you haven't bathed in like 3 or 4 days, or yeah. Other things than that, like are you getting sleep, or are you only getting 4 hours of sleep? Because in order to get everything done on your list, you have to stay up till all hours of the night. Mm-hmm. Third one, it kind of goes along with that, is illness. Like I think there's seasons in our lives where we probably see like you always have a cold, or you're always tired, or you're like, why? Maybe there's a physical thing, but maybe it really is this sign of like your immune system is down because you're just maxed out. Another one she said is chronic lateness. I don't know if you've ever met someone that is just always late. And sometimes we like to like blame it on, oh, that's just my personality. But a lot of times it's just, you have too much on your plate, you know, like you probably should have never said yes to this meeting, you know? I thought this one was really good because I am very guilty of it. It is, she calls it self-medicating in excess. And what she talked about in this is like, we like to think about this like with the extremes of substance abuse and things like that. But she said a lot of times she knows in her life, and this is true for me too, if I am watching too much television or spending too much time on social media or eating emotionally, or basically I look up and I have just wasted all this time, what I can do in my brain is I can say, oh, no, this is self-care. Like, I deserve this. I've been so stressed. But what it really is a lot of times is I'm just trying to absolutely zone out because I'm so stressed. And then I've wasted all this time, which just perpetuates it. So that's kind of a big red flag that maybe you are over capacity. And then the last two are just neglecting your important relationships and neglecting God. And sometimes we don't even realize those, which is why it's important to even ask spouses and kiddos, like, how are we doing? You know? And if they start saying, hey, like, I haven't like actually talked to you, like a real conversation in like 3 weeks,
Exactly.
then red flag. So
Yeah, I like that. I love
yeah.
what you said about with your friend, because I think where I'm at with setting some goals, um, you know, what's the meter that you're using in your life? I'm all about goals being measurable and things like that, but they also have to be realistic,
Yeah.
according to what you can handle, um, and what you're capable of handling. Um, I think for me, like I'll use this example. First of the year, of course, on that resolutions list is to get healthy, eat better, exercise, all that kind of stuff. And so I started following this exercise guru who has all these followers, and she has this program, and I'm sure it's phenomenal. But like every day, it's all these before and after pictures of people who've used her program and had great success. I would like give anything to be some of the before pictures. These are
Right.
like super thin people who just got a six pack. Like that's the after result. And I'm going, this isn't me. This is not,
Right.
and I found like it was almost discouraging me. Like, well, I can't even start this because I'm not even close to the before. What much like, um, and then I follow like Joanna Gaines, HGTV, super beautiful lady, but she's a mom. She's got 4 kids. She has a pretty busy job, or 15. Like she's running. So, I mean, not that my life is anything compared to hers, but we're a little more like in the same season as
Yes.
opposed to the 22-year-old single, super fit, I can work out 6 hours a day person. And Joanna Gaines put this thing on, I think it was last year, and it was like, I just want to create a habit of exercise. So for 21 days, I'm going to work out for 20 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of posting her flat abs or whatever, it was like, here's me in my tennis shoes, just to be held accountable that I'm working out,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just have to remind myself, like, what's my capacity? What season of life am I in? What actually works for me? And so that may be a 20-minute walking the dogs around the neighborhood kind of a thing, or something I can do at home, just in whatever goals. I mean, it doesn't have to just be your physical thing, but what is the meter that you are, I have to be my own meter. Does that make sense? Like, I can't compare myself to everyone else and get frustrated. Well, I'm not reaching these goals. Well, you're not reaching where that person's at, so I have to set goals that work for me.
That's really good. I find too, along those lines, I've always said about myself, like, I'm an all or nothing girl. I like to use that like as I don't know, it makes me feel good, but God's really been convicting me, like, that's not a good thing, because a lot of times I even compare myself to myself in past times, like, so even in that same area of working out, I was talking to my husband this last week, and he was encouraging me to do something, because my problem is sometimes if I can't live up to this image in my head of maybe where I used to be, I just do nothing. It's that I'm an all or nothing girl. And God's like, no, you're not. Like, and he didn't actually even ask me to be an all or nothing person. Like, I just need to be faithful. Like, that's what he asks, is to be faithful. And so as we were talking, I kind of just had that thought of like, okay, what is my capacity right now in this arena of like working out and stuff? And what I realized is, like, I talked about my breakfast. I'm gonna start eating healthy, but I'm not gonna become a vegan or a juicer, or I'm just not. So like, within the realm of what I'm gonna eat, what's a good solution? And then within the realm of where I am and how much I can exercise, working out 20 minutes a day, like, that's a lot more than I'm doing right now. So that's good,
Yeah.
So I think it's really good. Well, one thing I know that you and I have both done the last few years is this whole concept of coming up with one word for a new year. And I don't even remember where it actually started from. I think it was a blogger several years ago. And I know for me, it really helps. It kind of maybe gives like a general direction, and also kind of takes some of the pressure off. And the other thing that's fun about the one word thing is looking back over the course of the year and seeing how that theme has carried through a lot of times in ways you don't even expect.
Yeah.
What's your experience? Have you used the one word some and
Yeah,
how do you do
I
it?
have. And it's funny. Yeah, I've used it the last couple years, and it's just kind of an overarching, almost like a vision for
Yeah.
how you want the year to look or to go. And I find it helpful as I'm setting goals or kind of making plans to keep that one word in the back of my mind, because it kind of helps just direct
Right.
everything. So in the past, I've had words like focus. One year, my word was try, because I had just gotten really comfortable and really kind of afraid of failure. Like, so I wasn't even trying things anymore. And I felt like God was just saying, would you just try? Would you just
Yeah.
try? And I was like, no, that's not my word. And then I turned on Pandora, and like 3 songs in a row were titled try, or had try in the title. And I was like, hey, I get it. Great.
Yeah.
I'm trying, but it was good, because it was like, I would come to things and my default would go, I'm not going to try that. And it was like, but this is the year. This is the year to try. And so I really found myself stepping out. For me this year, I am excited about my word, but it's kind of a hard word. So my word this year is discipline. And yeah,
it's good, but it is like
2017. But that's right where I know I'm supposed to be. It's so funny. I like set aside my time to go pray, and it's like, I'm gonna spend like an hour just really digging in until I come out with the word. And literally like a minute, and I was like, okay, God, I just want to hear. And instantly it was like, I knew God was saying, you already know your word. I already gave you this word. We're still working on this. Like, you haven't got there yet. So I was like, oh, not discipline. He's like, yeah, it's discipline. So because I felt like God gave me that word a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And I know like that's just where I'm at. That's what I need. I need more discipline in my life in every single area. And so that's what I'm
That's
working
good.
on. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I feel like God gave me a couple of scriptures to go along with it. I just feel like I'm feeling encouraged. I'm feeling excited about it. So
That's really good. I think it'll be interesting to look back and see.
Mm-hmm.
I think discipline is going to take a lot of it's going to have a lot of different facets to it. It's not going to just be the way we fully think of it. So
I kept looking up scriptures, and it was like, God disciplines those he loves. If you're not disciplined, you're not a true son or daughter. And I was like, oh, this sounds really harsh. But I felt like God said, there's kind of 2 meanings for discipline. There is like the punishment kind of a thing, where sometimes he has to discipline us because we're way off track. But then there's also like discipline, meaning practicing something over and over, preparing yourself for things, being focused on something, doing something over and over again. So anyway, there's kind of the 2 sides, and they both really apply to me. But 1 Timothy, I think I'm saying it wrong, 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, the Lord hasn't given us, I'm saying this wrong. No, the Lord hasn't given us a spirit of timidity, but of power. The version I like, it says, but of power, of love, and of self-discipline. So it kind of almost takes the pressure off in a way, because it's not me having to do this in my own strength.
Right.
The spirit, God gives us the spirit, not to make us shy away, not to make us afraid to, try things, but to give us love, to give us power, and to give us self-discipline to carry things out. So
that's good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Mine is actually a little bit similar, which is interesting. And it's technically 2 words that I feel like God kind of dropped in my heart, and it's follow through. And I wasn't really excited about it. I tried to make it flourish.
Flourish.
I really wanted it to be flourish.
Rearrange the letters and follow through.
I really did. I just feel like it's the year.
It looks so much prettier on a canvas.
It is. It's so much lovelier. And it sounds so much more fun. And as I got quiet and I really prayed, God also kind of led me to some scripture and some verses. And it was just like, no, it's follow through. Like, because here's the thing, I realized I have great intentions. My intentions are awesome. Like, could change the world. My home would be, this haven of joy and peace and domestic bliss. And I would produce fabulous things. But the reality is that between my intentions and my actions, there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way. And so some actions happen, and that's good. And I celebrate that and I rejoice in that. But God's just really been challenging me, like, and some of the intentions are not from him. They're just my own mind. But if I just really got in line with the intentions he's placed in my heart, and I actually just did the small steps to follow through, I might be really shocked at what happens. So
good. I like it.
Yeah. So
what are some things that you have, because I found a couple of things just online or different authors and speakers that I kind of follow about actually setting goals.
Yeah. There's so many great things out there.
There's so many good things.
Yeah.
There's a couple that I have found. One was a blog that I read by John Acuff, who he's funny. He's great. I like his stuff because he's kind of quick, short, and to the point. Also a Nashville guy, but he does Orange Theory, by the way. Which he's like always about Orange Theory. Anyway, I don't stalk him. I just see it on Facebook. He puts a lot of his life out there. But anyway, he wrote this book, not a book, a blog, and it was about setting goals, kind of gearing up for the new year. And he asked these 3 questions. Make sure I say it right. He said, I ask myself these 3 questions. What do I need to do? What do I want to do? And what should I do? And that kind of got me thinking, I was like, well, those are easy to answer. But the way he explained it, like I found that I was putting a lot of what do I want to do, or I was putting a lot of things in the what do I want to do category. And they actually needed to be in the what do I need to do. And the need to do are things like you just cannot ignore. Just, a couple of things, the health thing for me, like I need to lose some weight. I need to eat better. I need to exercise. And I used to always say, I want to do those things. And because it was just kind of like, it didn't seem like so pressing, but I'm 35 and I'm like, okay, if I don't figure this out now, like I've had enough of my life, but if I don't figure this out now, like it's going to start affecting my health, sickness wise, health. I don't want to have health problems. Right. On all this medication when I'm older. I don't want to, just not feel good. I don't want to get tired. all those different things. Like, so I need to be healthy because it's like, this is my life. I only get one of them. So I have to take care of myself. It's not that would be nice if I have time or want to get around to it. Like it's a need thing. Daily quiet time with the Lord. It's not just I should do that. I really should set on my list and check it off. Like, I don't function well. Right. Unless I've spent time. Like, I know myself well enough to know, like, this is not an option for me anymore. This is, if I have to wake up early to do it, then that's what I'm going to do because it's the most important thing I do in my day is spending time with So I just kind of almost reshifted some things from categories. The want things for me, I want to build some great friendships here in Nashville. Now, here's the thing. Those are things I want to do. If I don't do that, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to, all those things. But they're going to make my life fuller and a little more happier. Weekly date night. We would love to go on a weekly date night. Like, we want to do that, and we're going to try to make that happen. But if it doesn't happen, like, our marriage is not going to fall apart. We're not, it's not the end of things. So anyway, just figuring out the should things. For me, it was, I need to put my phone down more. Especially when my kids are around. Like, just put the phone down. Get away, less screen time. Wake up earlier. I should do those things. Again, when you kind of do all those things in tandem, it helps everything better. But the need things they're not just like when I get around to it. Like, these are the priorities in my life. So I love that blog. I love the way he explained it. We'll share a link to that in the show notes. Jenny Allen, who's another great author and speaker that I love, she put out a thing called the Dream Guide. Just real basic, personal goals, work goals, spiritual goals, and relational goals. So those are good things to kind of help point you in a direction of
That's good.
to set goals. So what about you? What are some things that you've used?
A couple of resources. They're actually both companies that design planners. So kind of want people to know that going in, like when you go to their website, they're going to try to sell you a planner. But one is called Power Sheets. And by a company that's called Cultivate What Matters. And they're just really great tools to help you kind of plan big goals, but then we're going to talk a second about the daily steps to get you there kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the second resource is from a company called Horatio Printing. And what I really like is that on their, sorry, I'm pulling them up. On their website, they've got these great resources that they call dream planning. And they just have questions that if you haven't done any of this, and sometimes I think it's really scary to think about goal setting when you're like, I don't even know, what do I want? What do I need? Like, what should I do? And so what they encourage you is they have like thought starters and questions. And so, questions like, like what new responsibilities do you want to take on this year? Where do you want to travel? What do you want to create? Who do you want to become for your kids, for your spouse, for your family? How do you want to change your health? So they just have great prompter questions. I think sometimes in life, I like this. What gift do you want to bless upon someone? Like, sometimes I think we get so busy in life. Actually, one of my goals, this is going to be kind of funny, is I have a goal to have at least half a day every month where my work is thinking. Like, I think sometimes we get so busy in life, we don't know the answer to those questions because we haven't stopped to think, like, what do I want to create this year? Like, how do I want to bless people? Like, who do I want to be for my kids? And so I really like that resource. We'll give you a link to that. Just some great questions to kind of get your mind going. And then when you look back at your answers to those questions, like the needs and the wants and the shoulds, they kind of pop out at you. And then another thing actually that our church is doing that has been good for me, it's a little bit different from the goals, is we are asking ourselves, what are 3 like big dreams, or we're calling them God asks, that we actually know we can't do solely in our own strength, because as great as it is to set goals that I can, make happen in my own strength, I want to always dream bigger and I want to depend on God. And so that's another great thing, is just thinking about 3. I mean, keep it simple to 3 things, like something in your personal life, something in your family's life, and then maybe something within your finances or within your work sphere or something. Like, what are 3 big dreams? And so those things are helping me a lot.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I've learned about goal setting, and it really jumped out at me again this weekend. So we have a 16-year-old, and I told her, I said, listen, I want you to come up with 5 goals for this year. Mm-hmm. She was like, what? It felt really overwhelming to her, because she's the type of person that she tackles stuff as it comes up. She's not a real planner. She doesn't really think ahead. But I said, you're getting to the point in life, you're going to want to go to college in a year and a half. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Like, you don't get to just show up on the first day of class and go, I'd like to go to this college, please. They don't really let you in like that. So I kind of wanted to get her thinking. Mm-hmm. And then working through it with her, with somebody who's never really done this, it just reminded me the importance of measurable results and an action plan. And I think for any of us, having a way that we can measure some success, because it just gets really frustrating if all you ever do is set these really high lofty goals and you never meet them. Yeah. You just want to give up, or you get lazy, or you just what is the point of all this? But again, setting a goal is important, but then how are you going to reach that goal? For me, I was sharing, we had a 15-hour drive back to Nashville from the holidays, and I was kind of sharing with my husband, like, I was all excited about, hey, here's some goals I've set. And he was like, what does that mean? Write every day. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, write for 5 minutes. You're going to sit down and write songs for 6 hours because that's what you need to be doing, you know? And
Yeah.
so I got a little like heated a little bit, but I was like, you know what? This is exactly what I need. He knows what I need in my life. If I don't have a really thought out, well planned out day, I find myself wasting time, you know, watching
Right.
TV, being on social media, piddling around, you know, going to Target, roaming the aisles for 2 hours, like, because I have to keep, I'm the type of person, I have to keep super organized, well planned out day, or else it just kind of gets away from me. And I wish I wasn't like that, but that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I'm accepting that. So having him speak into my life, because he knows me and because he knows that I want to succeed and he wants to see me succeed at these things, he was like, let's make you a plan. I mean, I was driving and he was on his phone, like, we were mapping out what a day needs to look like, because it's one thing to say, I have a goal to write every day. Well, I didn't put any time parameters on that. I didn't put any expectation on that. So by blocking off things of time, and this is also, it helped my 16-year-old see, she was like, well, if you're going to do something every day, why do you have to write it down? Because shouldn't it just be a habit? And that's where the time factor comes in. For me to see it on a calendar, to see blocks of time, it helps me know, you know what, that time, it can't be touched. It's set aside for this. This is the priority. And I'm not going to answer emails during that time. I'm not going to take phone calls. I'm not going to get distracted and work on something else. Like, this is that dedicated time. And so yesterday was kind of my first day with this run through of that.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, how did it go? How was the day? How was, you know, and I said, it worked for me because when I set out, I set some expectations. So it's like, I feel like I'm totally breaking things down into all these blocks, but for me, that's what works. I have the big goal, I create the action plan, I set aside the time. And then even before I started that time, I was like, okay, what is success going to look like to me at the end of this time?
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those people, if I don't see instant results, a big thing, I'm like, well, that was so wasted time. That was just, I didn't accomplish anything. So I kind of started out, what is success going to be look like?
Yeah.
And I just kind of defined, this is what I want to accomplish in this hour. I want to write one, or not this hour, this block of time. I want to write one song today. Now, it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't even have to be good. It can be total junk. But I'm going to write and finish, from start to finish, one song in this time.
Yeah.
And I did it. And it was like, I started out with a lot of bets. I kind of jumped around a little bit. I found some other ways to focus myself. But anyway, I know I'm going into a lot of detail, but that's what works for me.
Yeah.
And I walked away from that day going to bed feeling like I accomplished what I set out to do. I walked away feeling some level of success because I defined what success looked like beforehand.
Yeah, that's good.
And that was just one day, you know, but now we're walking through that with our 16-year-old, you know. What does this look like for you? How do you, okay, you've got to, you want to score this on the ACT? Let's back it up. Have you signed up for the ACT? Like, you know,
Yeah,
just little things. And, just making plans, making steps, and things that you can measure. Okay, I did that. I can check that off the list. Now, what's the next thing to tackle? So I don't want people to see goals as these big overarching things that you're kind of aimlessly shooting at, but like, let's break it down to what can you do today. You know, what can I eat for breakfast today? Help me be more whatever. So I'm excited about tackling this stuff and like doing it with our in-between people.
I know, me too.
No matter what season of life, I think a lot of people, when you're in an in-between moment, it gets really hard to set goals because you're like, well, I'm not working towards that thing yet, or I'm not, you know what? Don't buy into that lie, because there are things you can do in every season of life to help get you where you want to be. And
yeah,
it's a great time to do it. So
exactly. That's good. So good. Well, I really enjoy talking about all of this. I think it's been helpful. And so I just want to encourage everyone that's listening today, maybe today, give yourself one action step. You know, if there's one goal you gave yourself, maybe before you go to bed, sit down and write out a few steps to get you there. And then just start with that first one. You know, I think.
Go to the show notes on our blog.
Yeah.
I'm going to look through one of the, okay, which one do I identify with more? Like, what are some questions I can answer? Yeah, make it easy. Just start simple. You do not have to have your whole year mapped out in a day. So, yeah.
Well, it's been really great talking about goals. I don't know about you, but I'm like pumped up and inspired to go do some stuff.
Yes.
You feel that way too? So anyways, you guys have a great week and we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the In Between podcast. We hope that we gave you some great tips and ideas and resources that you can apply to your own life. Don't let this whole goal thing seem overwhelming or too much. You can do this. You can tackle this, and we are here to help you and to encourage you. And we want to do that by connecting with you. Don't forget, you can go to theinbetween.com. In our blog section, we've got links to all of the resources that we talked about in today's episode. We also would love to connect with you on Facebook and Instagram this week, and just let us know some goals that you're trying to tackle in 2017, and we want to cheer you on every step of the way. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next week.